Good morning, sleep detectives.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Sleep Detectives episode for the week.
I love this. We actually had so many questions left over from our previous episode that we didn't even need to put out a question box. We're still trying to play catch up. So next week, we'll be sure to put a question box back up. But for now, we have questions galore. So this is our second episode each week where we attempt with our imaginations to fill in the gaps and answer your real life baby sleep questions, because I can assure you that if you are wondering something at 2 a.m, a million other mothers around the world are also wondering the same thing. So sleep consultant hats on. This is let's get started. Okay, here we go. When should I start putting my baby down awake? He's 10 weeks old now.
Oh, there's no real age limit on this. You can do this whenever you like. Newborn all the way through. Yeah, absolutely.
Even on day. I remember having my first baby and still in hospital. She was probably like 6 hours old and my husband had gone home. She was all swaddled in, the little plastic box that they give you. And she had a quick little cry and I was like, oh, just give her a minute, see if she can self-settle. I was like, hang on, she's 6 hours old. Like, we don't need to do this. But yes, essentially, you could always offer that curious moment of pop them down. They'll surprise you. 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, it's our biggest tip for families that have got small children, like small babies. That moment of curiosity is really important because we tend to just dive straight into autopilot when we've got newborns and older babies as well, but particularly newborns in terms of, I've got an awake baby, their awake time is ending, I need to get them off to sleep, and we start doing all the things. We rock, we hold, we pet, because we're very mindful of not creating an overtired little one. But there are moments where, and particularly the first nap of the day can often be quite successful, where you might swaddle in the dark room, cuddle into the cot, pat, or walk away and just see what happens. Like, it's just taking that moment just to be curious. What will happen if I just pop them down?
It's with no pressure. You can easily go in and rescue the nap and it could just be a couple of minutes. I sometimes encourage, particularly if this is your first baby, I sometimes encourage parents, regardless of age, to be honest, to imagine that they've got a second or a third child and that they just sort of have to pop baby down because there's been, someone's knocked over a glass or someone's, there's a wee on the carpet. Yeah, precisely. Like the amount of things that I could come up with that I have the lived experience. And then, of course, like go back. And it's the pause, and we talk about this all the time. It is just taking that moment of pause, watch, wait, okay, intervene, rescue, hold, pat, shush, no problem. And by practicing every day, even if it's just one nap a day or maybe every bedtime when sleep pressure is really on your side, it will eventually click into place of like, oh, this is okay. This is what we do every day. You know what? I'm really tired. So I'll just doze off. The other thing around this age is I always want to make sure that if we're doing a cot or bassinet nap, even with a 10-week-old, I want the room now pitch black to really set the scene. So if it's a contact nap in the carrier, sure, we're using the motion or the contact as the thing that gets our baby to sleep. But when we're wanting them to have a go at doing it solo, at this age, they've got their own melatonin pumping. Let's encourage that and make it a pitch black room.
Yep, big tip. Actually, there's some really great new blockout blinds on the market. So have a little look if you're just a little unsure how to make them darker.
In the membership. Yeah. Gosh, this is the beauty of a village, right? Is that, because I haven't had a newborn or a young baby for 4 years now. And so things change rapidly in the baby product industry. And there was a whole chat about what everyone was using as blockout blinds.
Yeah, so if you've got an issue with your blockout blind not actually being blockout, like most people do, where they've got the little slithers of light like coming down the side, just know that there are options now to completely black the window out. And so a quick Google search will give you the options, I reckon. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for those in Australia, I think Kmart has something quite good at the moment. That was the
Mm.
recommendation. Okay, let's have a look. Curiously, why is it 7 a.m. wake up and not 8 a.m.? We are not morning people, 9-month-old. And I think this is in relation to all of our schedules are like 7 a.m. up, delay until 7 a.m. We're doing a 7 till 7.
Yeah.
So, like, fair enough. Good question. And I assure you, I'm not a morning person at all. I think it's because that for the majority of our families, that's what works in terms of getting up and out the door for kinder drop off, work, creating some rhythm and routine. And then most of the families that I work with want bedtime in the 7s. 6:30 creates an early rise. 8 p.m., they're either then getting their baby up early to get to work, kinder, blah, 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 or an 8 till 8 doesn't work for them.
Mm. The other reason that it tends to start at roughly around 7 is because through the day, the body is working hard it has certain functions that it does through the day. And so if naps happen somewhere between, say, if they start between 9 and 10 and they start somewhere between 12 and 2, it means that memory consolidation and learning new skills and so forth happen a little bit more easily. So that's why we try and time those naps around to start somewhere around those sort of timeframes. So there's a reason behind that in terms of why we structure the naps. And so obviously if we're needing sleep pressure to be on our side, we typically want to start our day roughly around 7. So we've got that behind us. Of course, if you want to start your day slightly later, it's never going to be a big drama. Like you just adjust everything slightly later and and totally fine. You rock that. Like obviously there's loads of nationalities all around the world that have a later start and a later bedtime and it works for them, but that's
I was
typically
going to
why we
say,
have our
I
early
work
rise.
with a lot of families in the UAE, and we nearly always work to a significantly later bedtime and later rise, not only because of the heat, but also things like Ramadan, and we need to factor that in and not always have to change every time Ramadan comes out and like hustle from breaking fast to try and get this baby back into the cot at home. And those are such important factors when we are making personalized plans, and we will walk you through how to troubleshoot this, how to encourage that. It's really about working to light and dark. So signaling that 9 a.m. or 8:30 and we're aiming for a 9 a.m. up, it's still pitch black, and then we expose to light, and you essentially just get on a different time zone. And a lot of countries, again, particularly families in the UAE that I work with, it's also just culturally everyone's out at the mall like at 10 p.m., which for the rest of the families that I work with, myself included, I'm like, I am fast asleep at that time. I am not. I'm not an early morning person. When I suggest a 5 p.m. dinner, it's like, excuse me, what?
Yeah, that's right. That's lunchtime.
Yeah. So to an extent, time is a construct, and we can absolutely make change and adapt. But for the bulk of families, we work more to a 7 till 7. Okay, here we go. Tips to manage separation anxiety at bedtime, 22 months old. This is an age where sometimes separation anxiety can start to peak. We do see it around 8 to 9 months and with object permanency, and sometimes around the age of 2, getting closer to 2, it can start to sort of arc up a little bit. And I think you're the same, Beck. Sometimes I'm a little bit of a tough crowd when it comes to separate. And I'm not saying that it's not real. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, or it's, that some babies don't experience it more than others. By no means am I saying that. I think the consistency of bedtime is reassuring for babies and toddlers. And there are multiple micro moments throughout the day where we can continue to teach, I will always come back.
I agree.
And that's where I would say it could absolutely be the cause of some bedtime changes. I would still say you anchor in your consistent technique so that we don't exacerbate and say, do you know what, we'll open the floodgates with doing more, changing things up that then becomes unsustainable, and we have to try and claw our way back. I hope that didn't sound too harsh.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I think,
Okay.
when families are asking the question, they're looking for real answers.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily need anything to be sort of sugar coated for them.
Mm.
I'm going to go one step further, and I'm going to maybe consider that actually this may be remnant of the 18-month regression,
Mm.
considering that it's 22, like the toddler is 22 months and it may have been going on for a little while. Is that sort of the
Yep.
suggestion in the question? And it may just be that there is bedtime resistance, and it looks like separation anxiety because, for a child that's sort of been going down quite easily and readily at bedtime, and then after 18 months, you've got that regression that pops up. It is
Mm.
also a time for, increased separation anxiety. So it all sort of ties in together. But the key is that if we start sort of doing more and more and more and more, we just feed, like you said, we feed the
Into
issue,
it. Yeah.
and then we make bedtime longer. It's hard. So we do have an
Mm.
episode on the 18-month regression, which could be super helpful in terms of listening to. But ideally, you're just wanting to create this really clear pattern of response of, I'm here, you're okay, I'm not at the pub, I am still in the lounge doing the laundry, we are cleaning
Mm.
dishes, hey, we haven't gone anywhere, you're okay, time for
You don't need to
nice, and then
worry
back
about
out.
change. Yeah.
Yep. In and
Um,
out, create a clear pattern, and just reassure them that everything's fine, you're okay, and
yeah.
put that power back in terms of you can self-settle without me in the room, if that's what you sort of gone back to, but try and lower the stimulation, lower the intensity of that by just being super regular with your response.
Yeah, and look, we all want to know what's coming next. That's
Mm,
what definitely makes me
mm,
feel safe and somewhat in control. And I think
mm,
toddlers are looking for that as well at a time when there's often a lot of other change. Around this
mm,
age, we also sometimes see new babies arriving.
yeah,
Maybe mum or dad are going back to work an extra day, childcare. Lots of families then think we're going to go into a big bed, and there's lots going on. And
mm,
also, we know their job is to seek some autonomy and control. I actually had a consult yesterday with a 21-month-old in Canada who we sleep trained at the age of 6 months, has been an absolute dream ever since,
mm,
but had terrible influenza. And obviously, every rule had to go out the window.
yeah,
And now that they're better, they're stuck with this big bedtime drama. Baby will then sleep through, but bedtime is drama. And we were talking about whether or not separation anxiety may play a role. And sure, it may. But if I look across the log, this gorgeous little girl also goes to a Montessori daycare every day and doesn't have separation anxiety at that moment.
mm,
Doesn't have separation anxiety if is at somebody else's, like an in-law's house
mm,
and they're doing bedtime, which is important data for us because it may feel and look like separation anxiety. It could just be that this is what we now do at bedtime, and it's just become this sort of perfect storm on the back of sickness. And you're their safe person. They're going to push the boundaries and do
mm,
bigger toddler-like things
mm.
at home with you. But if we have a look across the day, separation anxiety didn't actually peak, didn't happen during the nap. That's a moment of separation. So we got to piece it all together.
I love that. That's a really great consideration, like looking through the day
Mm.
just to see if there are other moments where it's playing a role.
Mm.
And I actually hadn't thought of that. I'll be honest. Like like I just
Sally the mentor.
so
This is
it's
a wax on, wax off moment.
we're always learning. Like super kids is always learning, and from each other as well. And so it's that's a really great. I'm loving that. I'm
Well,
going
you're
to take that with
welcome.
me. Thank
Um,
you.
for anyone listening that does, I think, particularly if you've got older children as well and separating or starting school or starting childcare, there is a beautiful book. I don't know if I've talked about it before. We use this in our house as well. Because, Beck, you and I want to look at always sleep from a whole child perspective.
Mm,
It's not just about this is the technique, this is the schedule, and off you go with that. As
mm,
babies and toddlers do get older, we want to continue to meet their unique needs now as they
mm,
enter the toddler stage. There is a beautiful book called The Invisible String, and it is about how we are all connected
mm,
through an invisible string, even if we're in the other room, if someone's passed away and gone to heaven, if the dog has died, if we're at school or at work, at kinder, at grandma's house. And I like to, it's just a beautiful book, but I think it's never too young to start just trickling in these other moments of conversation so that that come bedtime, you've sort of ticked these emotional well-being communication boxes as well.
Great.
And I just think it's a really beautiful book that we even still read about. I'll be reading it about going back to school at the end of these holidays for sure.
That's great. We'll put that in the show notes, the
Yes,
name of the book.
absolutely. The Invisible String. Okay, let's have a look. This says 13-month-old on transitional schedule, taking 20 minutes plus to fall asleep, naps and bedtime. Is this the 12-month sleep regression? So for those listening, I think we could make a million episodes on the transitional schedule. It's a really, I think, unique schedule for the way that we work, Beck. And it also highlights that this is a common age of sleep issues. I don't necessarily call this a 12-month sleep regression. Is it a time that it commonly has sleep wobbles? Absolutely. But unlike the 4-month sleep regression, which is developmental, unlike the 18th and 2, like this one, I think is more just sleep regressions can happen at any time. Usually this is due to timing.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a subscriber to a 12-month regression. In my mind, and the way that I work, it's really just scheduling changes that just need
Yeah.
to happen in order for everything to flow a little bit more easily because of the age and stage
Yeah.
and our little ones' mobility and all the things they can do now, and they've got stamina. So I think in terms of where they're at with their scheduling, my first thought is there's nothing really too major. I would still like if it takes 20 minutes for Bubby to fall asleep, totally fine.
Yep.
Particularly for nap 1 and nap 2, not even an issue for me. Like that's totally fine. If there was one area to potentially tweak, it could be that we just trim nap 1 back just slightly. So instead of
That's my
having a
thought, yeah.
30-minute nap, we could make it a 20-minute nap. That might just pull nap 1 slightly earlier, and you may find that baby goes to sleep a little bit more readily. Because
So let's just workshop. Sorry,
yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but if we just put some numbers on that. So the transitional schedule is the 10 till 10:30, 1 till 3, and a 7 p.m. bed. So if we're taking 20 minutes to fall asleep for naps, and it says plural, you're suggesting we do a 10:15 till 10:30, or you're suggesting we wake up a little bit earlier?
Yes, I would encourage a slightly later first nap because we want to sort of create more sleep pressure for
Yes.
baby to want to go down. So this is like a super normal, this is what we start seeing. This is why we have the transition schedule, because it gives us a really clear indicator on how long baby needs in the morning to be able to be ready to fall asleep for their first nap. And as they get older, they need more and more awake time. So that's why nap 1 gets slightly later and later. And then we make it shorter and shorter to protect nap 2. So, so this is totally normal, super common. I would make it shorter, 10, 15, just add a little bit more playtime into the mix, allow for a little bit more energy to be burned so that they are more able to fall asleep readily. And then you would just cap that nap at 15 or 20 minutes and then keep nap 2 roughly around the same time. So
And 20 minutes to fall asleep for nap 2 is no big deal for us. Same applies to bedtime. The other strategy I sometimes use if baby clearly needs still the 2 naps, and at 13 months I would say, yes, we're doing everything we can to hold on to this a little bit longer. Sometimes I'll say instead of 7 a.m. up, let's get up at 6:30 and build the sleep pressure from that end, and just to troubleshoot our way for, the next 3 or 4 weeks. And then it's a different baby at 14 and a half months.
100%. Yep. Great
Cool.
strategies.
Okay, 7-month-old, naps have changed but not consistently. Still hang on to nap 3 or drop? I think this is a great question because this would be going through. Honestly, if I make content about the 3 to 2 nap drop, it's the most popular topic because everyone is in the thick of it, and it often feels like dropping the third nap is the saving grace for all of
Mhm.
the issues. So this is where I think it's a really great opportunity. We talk about what we are looking for when we make the decision to drop the third nap. And for me, the answer here based on age and also that we don't have nap 3 refusal, my answer would be we need to keep that third nap, but we may need to be more strategic about the other nap timings so that we keep it in the mix.
Mm. Because we're often told that we need the nice long naps, nap 1 and
Mm,
nap 2. And so the idea is that we have these nice long linked naps, and then all of a sudden we're trying to sort of get a nap that starts, say, at 4:30 till 5 o'clock. And that is off the back of like a 1 to 3 second sleep, like just, from using other consultants or
yep.
routines that are on the internet. 1 to 3 nap, and so now we're trying to sort of also get baby down at 4:30 for a third nap, which is almost impossible. Like, it
Yep.
is so,
Yep.
so hard to do. And so that's when a lot of families are gonna go, "Absolutely no way, I can't get that third nap, and it is so hard. I can't rock, pat, hold, feed, car carry, I can't do any of that."
Yep.
And then what happens is they go into the night without the third nap, but now baby is so overtired because the wake window is so much longer that now the
Mm,
wakings start to come back into the mix. So it doesn't solve anything. It solves bedtime, because bedtime
yeah.
is really, baby is absolutely passing out. They are
Out
gassed.
cold. Yeah. Or it
So
solves it for a couple of days or like a week, and you think, great, this was the right call. And then it just takes one nap to fall short for everything to start. It's like a house of falling cards.
it totally is. So we actually, to keep the third nap in, and so you and I try and keep the third nap in for as long as we can. Like 8 months for us is ideal, because this is when we also make the change from 4 feeds to 3 feeds. So we want our little ones to be around 8 months before we do that. We really carefully cap nap 1 and nap 2 so that we have enough sleep pressure behind baby in order to want to fall asleep readily and easily. And we lengthen wake windows as well between nap 2 and nap 3 to really create opportunity for this
Yeah.
nap to be readily taken. So we don't mind how the third nap happens: rock, hold, cuddle, skydive, whatever you need to do in order to get that nap happening. That's how it rolls. Anything aside from feeding, that's our caveat.
Yep.
Um, and we often find that we can keep that nap for, like we said, at least until 8 months. And then we start seeing the pushback in terms of, okay, now instead of needing 2 hours 45 to go down for nap 3, now at 7 months 3/4, now they need like 2 hours 45 and
Yeah.
maybe up to 3 hours. And so now we're starting to sort of push back on the awake time.
Yep.
So now we're seeing that baby is actually able to stay awake for a longer period. So we're always moving with them and their progress and what
Mm.
they're showing us they can do, rather than just whipping it away and hoping for the best.
Yeah, it's all about sleep science. We absolutely appreciate we've all only got X amount of sleep totals that
Mm,
we can give, and our
mm,
babies are the same in 24 hours. We can distribute those
mm,
differently in
mm.
order to preserve that third nap to protect the greater good of the whole 24 hours of sleep. And if you're listening and thinking, I saw a comment the other day on, me answering a similar question on TikTok, and someone said, well, try telling my baby that I can't make her go to sleep. And I hear that loud and clear. Like, you can't make your
Mm.
baby. You can set the stage. But if you also feel like this couldn't possibly work for me and my baby, and I were on a group coaching call just a few weeks ago, and 3 of our members, some of which had had to bring the third nap back in,
Mm,
were at 9 months, like a fresh 9
mm.
months, and they were all just dropping that third nap then and there. So it
Yeah.
is absolutely possible, not just for the odd furphy baby with high sleep totals and that whole thing. We had 3 on 1 call.
Mm. It can be a game changer in terms of smoothing your nights out, moving feeds out of the mix overnight, allowing more opportunity to develop and strengthen self-settling skills overnight. It just brings balance back to the day so
Mm.
that we can optimize the nights and then work on transitioning away from needing the third nap using our little one's ability rather than scheduling. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, keep that third nap in the mix.
Keep that
That's
third nap. Yeah, you're welcome for the word salad. Okay, speaking of 9-month-old babies, 9-month-old on medium nap routine, now struggling with the first nap. Is it time to extend the first wake window? Now, I know the name of this, recognize the name of this mother, and I'm pretty sure that this baby is rockstar self-settling. So I don't think that it's a manifestation of other sleep issues.
Yep.
So if we answer it as if this baby self-settles at bedtime, sleeps through the night, and then we're trying to do the 9:30 till 11, 2 till 3:30, but nap 1 is tricky, that's how I
Yep.
would see this question.
So a medium nap structure for anyone that's listening is 7 a.m. up, 9:30 to 11 for nap 1, 2 till 3:30 for nap 2, and at 9 months bedtime would be 7 o'clock. So if we're experiencing resistance for the 9:30 to 11 nap and the way that baby is not falling asleep as readily, I guess, is that that they're just
So,
sort
yeah,
of
I think it's
taking their
open to
time to fall asleep?
interpretation. Does it
Yeah.
is baby either struggling to fall asleep, or is
Yeah.
it no issue falling asleep, but they won't consolidate? They want to do 45 minutes and they're up despite everyone's best efforts. I think it could go either way. I'm not sure.
Really, my answer to if baby is delaying going off to sleep is really just to hold steady. Sometimes this is a blip, and it can happen where our little ones are like, maybe they're learning something and they really want to master their skills as they're going off to sleep. So they'll have a little bit of like a it's so much more fun to practice pulling to stand, or it's so much more fun to practice crawling, or it's so much more fun to practice my words. Like all those things are happening, and we don't need to change anything. Like just hold steady for a week or two. And if at the end of like a few weeks you're still seeing some issues, then maybe it's something that we could potentially look at. But hold steady, because I can guarantee 9 times out of 10, things will go back to the way that they were if we just sort of keep that scene looking tickety-boo as it always is. I guess the change would be if you've moved on to that medium scheduling, and then baby is falling asleep, but despite your best efforts and trying to delay getting up at 11 o'clock, they still are waking after an hour, and they're waking at 10:30. If you have recalibrated your day in terms of like meals are at the right times,
And
calories,
feeds and
the new feeds and so forth are looking fine. If despite your best efforts they are more of a shorter nap baby at nap 1, totally fine. You can just manipulate your day to have like more of a short long type of nap, and it may just be that you always wake, if they're 5 times out of 7 they are waking up organically at 10:30. If on those other 2 days they're sleeping past that time frame, you would actually wake them just to keep the day super consistent. So you would wake at 10:30, and then nap 2 would start at 1:30 instead of 2. So you can sort of move to a different scheduling to work with your child's natural scheduling abilities.
And we do want more data. It can be really hard for us as well not to be reactive as soon as a nap is not going to plan. A nap, maybe 3 days, 4 days, hearing Becky say 1 to 2 weeks, and then let's review. I think that's really important, and we acknowledge that's tricky to wait it out. Sleep can be stressful. We know how hard you've all been working on this for so long. Sometimes we just need to wait it out and then review the pattern that is emerging. And then we are not one-trick ponies. We will absolutely then say, okay, great, now is the time to change. But if we do it based off 3 days, could we have made it worse? And then we're just really like, oh no, please take that long nap because nap 2 is struggling. And so as hard as it is, give it a little bit of time and then we review.
I think also because we deal with a lot of situations that crop up as babies and toddlers get older and older, and the only thing, with regressions and so forth, and particularly the 2-year regression has really taught us we have to have a really strong sense of persistence, because you cannot change what you're doing. You have to hold on to that nap. And so for some children, like it takes 12 days for them to go back to having a beautiful nap through the day. Some might take 17, 18 days before, but there's no way out of it. We just have to hold steady and then the nap comes back. And so that has taught us, I think, that over time, as hard as it is, there are moments where we just have to hold steady and just see if the great sleep comes back or changes and improves, because the one thing we don't want to do is chop and change all the time, because there's nothing calming about scheduling that keeps moving, like the goalposts keep moving. What am I supposed to wake at 10:30, 11? Am I having a feed at this time or that time? And so all of a sudden their sense of security goes because they can't pinpoint exactly what the expectation is. So hold steady where you can. And then we've got the data, because you can sort of make little notes of yes, 10:30 this day, 10:45, 9:15, we've got something
Well,
to
we
look
also
at.
can't pinpoint then what's causing what. Is it because we've made change? Is it a timing thing? Is it because a feed is now shorter or too close to that? We need to get the lay of the land, and we are also not immune to wanting to react, and we are also not immune to doubt, even in a 2-week package where we could be like, this should be locking into place by now. And it's usually then the next day that it all sort of clicks into place. It's really none of us are immune to those feelings. It's just that we have done this for so long that it is usually just a matter of time, and then we review and make change.
Yeah, quite often I always think of things like if we're experiencing a package where it's taking a little while to sort of lock in, that I have to be the spine. I have to be the spine, the backbone, and hold steady for my family so that they have the confidence to hold steady. It's sort of like a trickling effect. If one of us starts to sort of crumble, if one of us starts to crumble, it
even
all
if you're
starts to
flapping
crumble
on the inside. That's why we have each other. No, and it always comes good. It always comes good.
Yeah.
So yeah, we believe in you. You believe in us, and ride it out. Okay, this is a quick and easy one because we've just sort of touched on it, but a 14, 15-month sleep routine. This is when we're going to go in again with the transitional schedule. I would never be dropping a 2-to-1 nap transition just straight off the back of not moving to the transitional schedule and giving it time and waiting to see what happens. So we're going to go in with a 10 till 10:30, or as you said before, at this age, maybe even a 10:15 till 10:30, fully assisted nap. We don't care if it's in the car, pram, stroller, fitball, no drama. We are not keeping it for long. We just want to take the edge off. And then it is a 1 till 3 into the cot, night-night, and a 4-hour wake window until bed. So that's usually 7 p.m., 7 a.m. up.
Yep, that's what I would go with too.
Excellent. Okay, tips for easier settle while away on holiday at 18 months. I really like this question because I have now done a fair bit of travel with babies aged teeny tiny through to toddlers and now primary school aged children. And sleep has always gone really well. We've had time zone changes and jet lag and change of scenery. And I think the key is you go into it not planning on doing anything different, having realistic expectations, particularly if there's jet lag. You're going to be up at 4 a.m., and we can't immediately change that on day one. But I just always treat bedtime and nap time as if no big deal. This is still a cot. I pack the sleeping bag from home. I take all the creature comforts. If your baby's got a Lovey or comforter, if they've got a dummy, we're taking the same dummies from home. Like you do your same pre-bed ritual. You do your milk feed at the same interval before popping them down. You say the same sleepy phrase. I pack portable white noise. Like I just treat it like home. And I think that's reassuring in the context of a different environment.
Well, that's exactly why we do the bedtime routine in exactly the same sequence every night, because it loosens the grip on one person having to do it It means that anyone can do that same sequence. So whether you're breast or bottle, I mean, obviously, if you're breastfeeding, grandma can't do that. You might have to do
It would
the
be
breastfeed.
impressive.
But at some point, like you can do the feed, and then you can go off and pour a glass of wine, and
Yeah.
and go and enjoy the cheese board while somebody else is putting baby off to bed. So I think it's just that sequencing. We really we're quite finicky in the way that we do things, so that it makes life easier for you, for anyone else that's putting your child down, and just to create that. It's almost like an internal checklist of like, okay, this is how, so when you're in a different location, which smells different, there's so much more stimulation going in through the day. They are maybe not as well slept as they have been, that they would be at home. When you start doing those little like those moments of sequencing, it's like a little checklist of like, tick, yep, okay, bath is done. Tick,
Yep.
we've read the books, we've had the feed. It's like I'm winding down to bedtime. I know everything is happening in exactly the same way. I'm in a different location, but I can relax and calm with this. And I always say, be wary of night one. Like you, we've done a lot of travel with our children, like when they were really young, camping included, all the things. And if for night one, I always went into it knowing that there could be more resistance to going down for all the reasons we mentioned before.
Yep.
But highlighting that it's exactly, the expectation is exactly the same as home. And you can offer a little bit more because, so for example, if you were doing like more of an interval type approach, that's what you may have done at home. Typically we wouldn't go in and pick up and calm down and so forth. But if you're in a different location, I think it's more than fine to keep doing your intervals. But if there's moments where you have to sort of offer a little bit extra, like that would be more than totally fine.
Yeah,
The
I think
key is that,
especially if, oh, sorry, I was just going to say, especially if like that was the travel day too,
yeah,
and you just know like everyone is cooked.
everyone's cooked. But you just offer a little bit more, absolutely. But you still want them to fall asleep using their own steam as well, because then you're creating that goalpost of like, see, totally fine. We're doing exactly the same thing as home. That's calming. It's reassuring. And then night two is usually very fine. Very fine. I don't know if it's very fine.
It's very fine. That's our next cap, everyone. Very fine.
So yeah, I think as hard as it is trying to stick with your sequencing at bedtime to create that calm, relaxed feeling, and then offer a little bit extra, but making sure that they do fall asleep using their own steam at bedtime, and then that hopefully that next night will be smooth sailing and you won't have to do too much more than what you ordinarily would.
I think also in the spirit of protecting that bedtime and knowing that, over the course of I mean, even when I've done big time zones, like Melbourne to America, like that's huge. I've sort of said, well, not said, like in my head, I thought, okay, about 3 nights and then we're really like, I'm going to get back to expectation. Like on night 1, sure, you're up from 2 till 4 a.m. because like it's the middle of the day for your brain. But I always just, I never just let it drag on and on and on and on. The other thing is I always got up at the right time, even if I was exhausted and it was, 4 a.m. my time. I'm still setting that alarm for 7 a.m. new time and we are up, we're exposing to light. Like the more I can help my baby or toddler get on the new time zone and minimize the chopping and changing and exhaustion, the better. But also I think I imagine for you, I always also prioritize naps. Now, of course, it doesn't always have to be in the cot. We do want to allow you some flexibility that you might be having an Aperol spritz in the piazza and the last thing you want to do is head back to the accommodation and wait out and feel nap trapped. In saying that, I often come home for the nap. Like I don't look to skip it. If I can avoid it, I go back up to the room. If I've had nannies at times, I will divide and conquer. The nanny will sit whilst baby number 2 naps and I'll go back down to the pool. If I haven't had, I say that in Bali because there's a nanny. It's not like, but back to the piazza. Another round, please. But I have 9 times out of 10 prioritize that nap so that I'm not setting up the night for not failure, but for a different battle in the context of change already, I protect the bedtime and overnight. And the other thing is that I always just stick with my technique, as you said. Like even though I wouldn't have had overnight wakings at home, let's say for 4 months, I know that this is the technique, this sleep training technique is where we're up to in terms of my baby can self-settle. And I would have that knowing, okay, we may have those overnight wakings that Bex talked about, particularly night one. I'm just going to do this. Like I'd feel like I had a game plan, not oh gosh, I don't know what to do. I just know, cool, the context is there as to why this is happening. I'm going to see it through.
Perfect. Yeah, I think the
Excellent.
naps are important. I'm just sort of, because you know that if you've done the work to get the naps in, you should have a seamless 4 hours to bed. You know what I mean? Like I think you create windows for yourself where you're like, let's go down to the pool and enjoy ourselves because I know you've had a good nap and I know you're not going to get absolutely cactus, 30 minutes later and so I think if you can, and it's no skin off your nose, try and protect those naps when you're on holiday so that you can have these moments where you can leave the babysitter and you know that they're going to go off to sleep at 7 o'clock and you're going to be confident when you go out for dinner with your partner that actually they are going to fall asleep readily and easily for the babysitter and you don't need to think about phone calls that are going to happen an hour later go, I can't settle them. They're like, you need to come back. So little things like that, like it just, and everyone has different expectations of a holiday for sure. Like it's not always, how we envision a holiday. It could be looking totally different to families, but don't feel embarrassed if you want to protect the naps and family members are like, scoffing. 100%. If you want to enjoy your holiday and you know that they nap well and will sleep well and you'll get moments in time to actually enjoy the holiday without overtired toddlers, then you rock it. Absolutely rock it.
Yeah. I think the realistic expectations is that traveling with a toddler is very different to traveling with a 4-month-old baby and very different from traveling pre-children. And so I think it's never going to be like it was, but I want to have my cake and eat it too. I want to be able to not feel completely chained to a cot the whole time. I may as well just be at home.
Yeah.
But I want to enjoy the time in between with the family and not just have an overtired hot mess express of a toddler that chances are is looking for me for emotional regulation when I would like to have an Aperol spritz in one hand. And so it's about finding out what is sustainable, what is a happy medium for you. So if it's prioritizing the nap, so then you can be the parent in the pool splashing and playing and having the time of your life. Yeah. And knowing that then you get bedtime, like that's where I sit because that's how I just prioritize. The other thing is, and Mr. Sleep Concierge originally used to roll his eyes and now he is absolutely on board and it's not available to everyone or even in every location. But if and where possible, like if I'm booking an Airbnb, I book 3 bedrooms. I don't want to all be in one room and then I have to sit in the bathroom while I wait for 2 children to fall asleep. That's just my preference. There are many ways to travel, but that's probably to the extent of how much I prioritize. Like I want this to be a holiday, not working harder than I do even at home.
Yeah. Also, there's laundries that you can put babies in and walk-in wardrobes.
Ensuites, walk-in wardrobes, kitchenettes.
Garage.
It's not just spare bedrooms, but I want to look at a floor plan before I book that accommodation. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I have done
How
the same.
interconnecting are we talking between these 2 rooms?
Oh, my goodness. Anyway, sometimes you remind me a little bit of and I'm just going to throw this in there. Have you...
Here we go.
When you talk about Aperol spritzes in the piazza you automatically remind me of Heather Dubrow from The Real Housewives.
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
Orange
I thought
County.
you were going to say, I'm Googling her as we speak. I thought you were going to say Emily in Paris because I just finished the latest season. I'm like,
probably totally interchangeable. Yeah.
Just waiting for this ultimate compliment. I'll have to Google Heather Dubrow.
I mean, she's very highbrow, so that's why. It's
Fabulous.
whereas, yeah.
maybe a little bit fancier. So Aperol spritzers all round. You can absolutely have your cake and eat it too. And you know what? It's all about practice too. So your permission to just keep booking those holidays.
I'll join you in the piazza for a Corona with lime.
Amazing. I'll see you there. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
We will see you on the next episode of Sleep Detectives.
Goodbye.
Bye.